Now I will invite Erika Molina to come up front. She will be sharing a story with us.
Hello, my name is Erika Molina and I am an undocumented student. I was brought into this country at the age of 3 years old, and I started elementary school not knowing how to speak a word of English. However, as the years passed, I became an honor student and an active member of my community. I was nominated to be a student officer for my senior class, and I graduated in the top 5%, but I still didn't know what it meant to be undocumented. I asked a family member, and she just said that it meant that I couldn't vote. I didn't know that there was so much more to this. I started noticing little bits here and there, like why my parents didn't have a driver's license, or why my mom couldn't get a job, or why my dad, who is a genius, was working at a factory barely making over minimum wage. I also didn't know what it meant for me until I started looking into colleges that I wanted to attend. I knew FAFSA wouldn't help me, so I had to look into merit scholarships. I thought I could do this because I was accepted to over 10 schools with outrageous scholarships. And then once I finally picked a school, they told me that the scholarship that they had awarded me I was not eligible for because of my legal status. My parents told me that if I wanted to continue my education, I would have to enroll at the College of Lake County, which I did. Then I applied for the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which enabled me to get my driver's license and to get a legal job. This year, my entire tuition is paid for by the school. I am both a vice president and a public relations officer for two well-respected organizations. And I am going to be a lawyer eventually, with my dream school being Stanford. I read that 49% of undocumented students do not go on to college, and out of those 5%, no, hold on, sorry. 49% of undocumented students don't graduate high school, and 5% go on to college. The numbers of those that actually graduate are basically non-existent. I'm not going to give up. Thank you.
It is time for our Lake County Sheriff candidates to come to the front. We will begin with Mr. Curran introducing himself.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to be here to be able to speak with you all today. I've been your sheriff since 2006. I'm the father of 3 boys. And I can report to you the crime is down 8.6% in Lake County. We've been under budget 8 years in a row. And that allows government to do and spend money on other things that are very valuable. One of the things that I know is important to this community is the immigration issue. I'm somebody that's been a leader on that issue. I've been fighting the fight for immigration reform, I would argue to you, more than any sheriff in the country. I've been out there, I've been getting criticized, I've been getting hits. My opponent has a Facebook posting of me claiming that I equated our immigration policy to Nazi Germany. It's not easy to take the tough stances that I have. On the driver's license bill, 6 editorials around the state of Illinois gave credit to the argument that I made as to why driver's license for undocumented people should be extended. I was honored in Blessed Trinity Church over there. And on the issue of the DREAM Act, I was out there front and center fighting for dreamers, recognizing the importance of that. I've been out there in terms of the Latino community. Recently, when the Tribune endorsed me, they referenced the fact that I have had a commitment to hiring and promoting women and minorities, and I'm changing the culture of the sheriff's office. It's caused a lot of enemies, a lot of people that don't like their culture to be changed. I've had a lot of attacks, many unfair. But I've been out there for you, I've been doing the right thing. And when the Daily Herald endorsed me, the Daily Herald said, that Sheriff Curran makes the tough decisions. These aren't easy decisions. I look to my faith. I've been ridiculed and criticized by my opponent and others for having done that. But at the end of the day, I will continue to try to do what's right and take the hits. Thank you.
Mr. Jason Patt, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hello? Okay. All right. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Jason Patt. I'm the candidate for sheriff here in Lake County. I live in Zion. I'm very, very involved in the community. I've been involved in the community for a very long time. I'm currently an investigator with the coroner's office. Worked for Lake County Sheriff's Office before that, United States Navy for 8 years, served as a military patrolman with the Great Lakes Police Department. Just a little bit of background as far as how I have been involved in this community. About 7 years ago, we had a large problem with child deaths, and Lake County did not have Safe Kids Illinois in Lake County. So I started the Safe Kids chapter in Lake County to be the satellite location. In this community alone, there were a lot of people who could not afford child safety seats, who did not know how to properly install them. So I took the initiative to start that program, and since then we've had 0 child deaths due to that, especially within this community. So people in this community can now afford to get child safety seats. As far as the Latino community, I have a really close and personal bond with the Latino community. My daughter is half Mexican, you know, and I feel a very, very strong bond with everyone here. So I'm asking everyone to come out and vote on November 4th for me as your next Lake County Sheriff. Thank you.
I will now invite Reverend Eileen to come up. We will get started with our questions. The first question, we will begin with Mr. Curran answering first. You'll have 2 minutes, and then followed by Mr. Patt.
Mr. Curran, the National Sheriff's Association issued a recent report that found there are 3 times more mentally ill persons in jails and prisons than hospitals. The programs in place for substance abuse and mental illness, which create an alternative to jail and successfully keep people arrest-free, is progress, but we need more resources. Will you work to expand this program by having additional licensed therapists and more staff training to prevent criminalizing mental illness?
Absolutely, I will. I'm somebody that's fought on these issues in terms of criminalization, in the fact that in this country, we have 5% of the world's population. We incarcerate 25% of the world's population. We incarcerate too many people. We don't do enough to allow them to expunge their records. Our policies are immoral. I'm the guy that's spent a week in his jail highlighting that has spoken to these issues time and time again. Not something that makes me popular in a lot of circles, not something that a lot of people want to hear, but it's the truth. Mental illness, we're 50th in funding for mentally ill in this state. Our budget is immoral. Our budget is almost essentially eaten up with regards to pension, what have you, and we're not able to allot virtually anything for the most vulnerable. The mentally ill are the most vulnerable. I have fought for them. I will continue to do so, and absolutely I will be happy to work with United on behalf of that, Lake County United and the rest of y'all.
Absolutely. This is something I've been talking about for a long time now during my campaign, is getting more therapists, psychiatrists, and psychologists in the Lake County Jail to help people. There's a lot of people who are incarcerated around the United States, let alone in Lake County right now, who have severe mental illness. And a lot of these people are locked up because of that severe mental illness. Jails have become the largest mental home facilities in the entire country, and it's completely uncalled for. We don't need that. Recently, I was endorsed by Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart, who in this area is pretty much the leader on increasing services for the mentally ill in our jails and prisons. And during a conversation that we had recently, as soon as I'm elected, we're going to be working very closely together to get these people in the jails to help the people who need them. So absolutely, I'll work with everybody that needs to be working. So
Thank you.
All right, now I will invite Ms. Gavilada up to the front. I would also like to remind everybody that this is a nonpartisan event and ask that everybody refrain from passing any material that has to do with any candidate. Thank you.
Question is, Acting Director of ICE, David Ragsdale, has acknowledged that ICE hold detainers are mere requests, not commands. Honoring ICE detainers is not only a burden financially, but creates division amongst law enforcement and the community. Will you follow the example of Champaign and Cook County and join the law enforcement agencies across the country that choose not to honor ICE detainers altogether?
There's been a recent change in that. Previously, the federal government sued you if you didn't enforce ICE detainers. It's an evolving, we're studying it, we're in dialogue on those issues as to what we're mandated to do, what we're not mandated to do. At the end of the day, one thing that I have shown time and time again, and I would encourage y'all, don't take my word for it, research it, go online and see who's been the champion in terms of immigration reform. And essentially, so we will be looking into that, we'll be continuing to look into it. I balance the oath that I've taken to uphold the Constitution, what I'm sworn to do, with at the same time doing what I can to push our government in the direction of an immigration reform bill. Relooking at ICE detainers is one thing that we definitely will do from that perspective. Thank you.
As he mentioned, immigration reform is a big subject right now in this country, and especially in this community. And that is probably the one subject that my opponent and I agree on, is immigration reform and getting that done as soon as we can. As far as ICE detainers go, whatever the law says, that's what you have to do. If the law says that you don't have to, then those are things you can look at. If the law says that you have to, then obviously your hands are tied. But as far as if you have the choice, obviously it's something that we'll look at, working with. So.
Thank you, Ruiz.
Okay, now I'll invite Maria Contreras. She will be reading another question. And now we'll have Mr. Patt go first. Okay.
Lake County is a culturally diverse county. Building positive relationships between law enforcement and residents is a proven tool to creating a safe, healthy community. If elected into office, how will you move forward in order to hire more diverse sheriff deputies with the intent to address the cultural barriers that exist during a police call or an emergency? In addition, how will you move forward to hire more diverse personnel in management positions?
Something that I plan on doing is when there's openings for any jobs in the sheriff's office, whether it be highway patrol, to be a sheriff's deputy, a corrections officer, to work in administration, whatever it is. I plan on going into the community, into the local churches, and doing the job announcements, not only that way, but online as well, so that everyone knows what's going on, and so that people in this community have just as much of an option to apply for these jobs as people in the rest of this county. And I think it's very important to have diversity, because like you said, there's I'm sorry, yeah. So like she had said, this county has such a diverse culture. There's so many different nationalities of people who reside in this county, and I think it's very important, to have your staff meet up with these people, because sometimes when you go to a call, it helps with the relationship between law enforcement and the civilians. So I think it's very, very important. That's something that I plan on doing immediately.
Now, Mr. Curran.
Thank you. I believe very much in the concept of diversity, and it's easy to talk about it, but we got to look at what have you actually done about it. I promoted 3 women to correct a balance. Sheriff's office in Lake County has existed for about 180 years. You know how many women command officers out of 31 they had in that 180-year history? 1. Tell me there's, it's a moral place. Tell me that's a good office, that reflects the office when historically that's what's going on. I promoted 3 out of sequence, and one of the union leaders sent out a letter trashing me, calling me a clown sheriff because he was promoting women, and also trashing me on the immigration issue, saying that I had equated our immigration policy to Nazi Germany, which I hadn't done, but I had argued in form of immigration reform. So we can talk about all these things, but if you're going to be out there and you're going to be actually doing something about it, you're going to get whacked. They're going to say horrible things about you. They're going to come at you with everything that they got. And that's what's happened to me, but I'm happy to continue to fight for it. I believe in it. I have a record that shows it. I've hired and promoted more women than they had in the first 180 years. 180 years, and minorities as well. Our office now is headed in the direction of finally reflecting the larger community.
Okay, Mr. Patt, you now have the floor for 2 minutes for any closing remarks.
Once again, I want to thank everyone for coming out here and listening to everything we have going on. I think it's very, very important that we have change in the sheriff's office immediately. We need a sheriff in there who's not only competent, but we need a sheriff in there who's going to care about the community. We have millions of dollars of lawsuits right now, from deaths in custody to discrimination against women. One of the most recent cases was a female who had her canine taken away because she was a woman. The famous quote that was heard in the courtrooms was, "We got to give the boys a chance." Well, that cost us money. And discrimination, we can't have that in the sheriff's office. So if it's going to happen once, it's going to happen again. We need to end it. We need to end it now. I think that with my experience, and I think that with my background, I think that I'm the right person for the job. I've been endorsed by the sheriff's office Teamsters, which comprise over 200 employees, the rank and file. So I think the employees themselves obviously have spoken and said they want to change, as well as the Lake County Sheriff's Fraternal Order of Police has endorsed me, among many other law enforcement agencies in Lake County. So I think the time for a change is now, and I think it needs to be done. So I'm asking everyone to go out there and vote. I'm asking for your vote. Please vote Jason Patt for Lake County Sheriff. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming.
Thank you to both candidates for joining us today.
Do I get a closing or no?
Yes. Oh.
Thank you all. Crime is down 8.6%, not by accident. I referenced earlier how what I did in terms of taking the grade 1 deputies that historically were in the courts, put them out on the road. Not a popular thing. Teamsters not happy about that. I have fought the fight. Ultimately, with regards to what's going on in terms of potential liability, we had jail guards that dragged an individual who was paralyzed through the jail in a horrible, horrific way. I fired 4 of them. 10 more were disciplined up to 300 days. They had a posting on for a fundraiser for these guards saying no officer left behind. He posted it on his Facebook. These people, with regards to discrimination and what have you, who are they supporting? That's right. I have fought the fight. I don't walk with the officers that are rogue officers. I stand up and do the right thing. Yes, I'm being attacked. But talk to the leaders out there in the immigration community. Josh Hoyt, former director of ICER on his free time. Rebecca Shee. Who are they walking with this morning? Illinois Coalition of Immigrant and Refugee Rights. Who do they think needs to be sent back to the sheriff's office to continue to be able to represent these communities? Me. And I'm telling you, I'm in a fight because of some of the people that are coming off after us with regards to lies and distortion. So vote for me, Mark Curran. I'm a Republican, so you can vote Republican for sheriff. I ask for your support. I believe that I've earned it, folks. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to both candidates for joining us today. I have a final question. Sorry. If elected, would you be willing to meet with the Waukegan Action Team of Lake County United within your first 3 months in office? Please give us a yes or a no.
Absolutely yes.
No question, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.